Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the McGonagall Boxing Podcast. As you can hear, my voice is gone. I'm still recovering from last night. Wembley was insane. It was some atmosphere. I was proud to be inside there. It was just rocking by the time Fury and Whyte entered the ring. But, it was, let's be honest, half empty till about 9 o'clock. The undercard obviously was poor and people just weren't interested in that. And that's just facts. But I don't want to put a damper on things because it filled up. Within 45 minutes you had literally, I'd say 40,000 people into that arena. It was crazy. To really fill up the 90,000, 94,000 even. But getting back to the fight, it was just a masterclass, wasn't it, from Fury? I was there and watching it, it looked really one-sided live. It just looked like a complete mismatch. But I've watched it back on YouTube, and to be fair, Whyte was game for the 2 or 3 rounds, and then he just tired, didn't he? He sort of ran out of ideas, and he realised the hook he was trying to throw, Fury was either blocking it or reading it, and he just couldn't get inside enough. I mean, if you're a Whyte fan, it's immensely frustrating watching that fight because, everyone knew Whyte's tactic. You didn't have to be a boxing expert. He had to get inside. He had to do what he did to Rivas. Get inside him, close the distance, sort of make it a rough and tough fight, lean on him, lead with the head, the elbow, just disturb Fury, upset his rhythm, and then when he's probably complaining and wound up and lost his focus, catch him with the hook, the vicious left hook, but he just couldn't get inside enough to land anything note. And early on I thought, this is interesting. He started off southpaw, and I thought, okay, maybe he knows something we don't. And I noticed he's trying to target the body. And it was a competitive first round. I had Fury just about edging it. But, it was competitive. But then, of course, Fury is such a good fighter and just so adaptable. He turns southpaw and completely negates Dillian Whyte's southpaw. And then suddenly he didn't know what to do. He didn't have a plan B. Now, when you're fighting Fury, you've got to have a plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, because he sure has. And then, of course, so Whyte realises the southpaw is no longer an advantage, switch back to orthodox, but he looks flummoxed by it. It's almost like he's been training southpaw and not enough orthodox, because after that he threw very little. And of course, I think what happened, he was starting to get picked apart, peppered, countered. So of course, when you get countered anytime you throw, it makes you hesitant to throw, because you thought, God, if I throw, I'm going to leave myself open to be countered. And Fury looked like he was sort of tippy-tappy, but actually them punches from a, near enough 19-stone man sting, and his timing's so good. So Whyte was losing confidence rapidly. He was also tiring. Now he's coming to this fight 6-7 pounds heavier than in his fight against Povetkin. Another big thing that's obviously hasn't been noticed, he's been out the ring a year. I mean, that's massive, isn't it? He pulled out the Otto Wallin fight, which I believe he should have taken. I believe he should have had a tune-up fight, but he didn't want to risk it. He knew he had his WBC shot, and that was that. But he just needed a tune-up fight because he looked rusty. And another thing, and I don't want to hate on Dillian Whyte because, like I say, I'm a fan, but he hasn't been the same fighter since he fought the parted ways with Mark Tibbs. Mark Tibbs was brilliant for Whyte. He got him in great training, shape. He read the right act to Whyte at times. He wasn't a yes man. He knew the style of Dillian Whyte, knew the tactics to employ, the rough and tough. And this new trainer that Whyte's got, for 2 years now, it's done nothing. I saw nothing last night of any merit, of any improvement on Tibbs. And I don't think he's got the same rapport. I don't think Whyte respects him. I think Whyte leads that camp. He calls the shots, and he got found out last night because you can't do that against Tyson Fury. The worst thing Dillian Whyte did was leave Mark Tibbs, because I guarantee you Tibbs would have come up with a game plan to make it far more competitive Alright, he might not have won. And yes, he might have ended up getting knocked out again, but it'd have been far more game. Think of the Dillian Whyte against Joseph Parker. I'm not saying Parker's fury, but even so, leaning on him, roughing him up. You know, lots of punch output, you know, dictating the fight. He looked hesitant. He looked passive. He just didn't look like Dillian Whyte up after round 2. And I just wasn't throwing that left hook. He's big weapon enough. And that was his only chance of winning. Catching Fury, like Wilder did, slipping, losing concentration, catching him with the left hook and punishing him. But it didn't happen, didn't throw enough. And Fury, you could see he was going more and more and more confident as the fight wore on. He was taking the time, he's getting the variety going. His corner said, listen, you know, after 4 rounds, now it's going to Kronk style. Put some beef behind your punches, because that's the only thing I wanted to see. First 4 rounds, it was tippy-tappy, and I thought, come on, Fury, put some beef on it like you did against Wilder. And of course he did. He upped the ante. He stayed with it, didn't he? Timed the uppercut beautifully, and that was that. Whyte was completely gone. It was just timing. But of course, again, you know, I'm not hating on Whyte, but that's the 3rd time he's been knocked up by an uppercut. He's susceptible for that. He leans in, trying to get his own shot off, and his body weight's going forward. An 18-man going forward. So, you know, while the punch is going on his chin, so he's carrying all that momentum into it. Got no chance, and he hit the deck hard. Thank goodness he's okay, but it was just a beautiful thing from Fury. He just paced himself, had a look at Whyte. He knew Whyte was dangerous the first couple of rounds. He knew Whyte's a good counter-puncher, a far better counter-puncher than Wilder, so he wasn't going to go steaming in. Took his time, broke Whyte down, as I explained he would do when Fury coming in a stone lighter. I thought he's going to box more in this fight. He did do. Just peppered Whyte, broke him down, and then of course by 6, in total control of the fight, gained more confidence and looked for the power punch. It reminded me of Chisora Fury 2. Fury did exactly the same thing, but obviously without Sugar Hill in his corner. Didn't have the knockout punch, but he just dominated. He played with Chisora, too big, too strong. And the thing is with Whyte and Chisora as well, is even the rare times that Whyte did try and make it rough and tough, Fury can hustle and grab and hold and fight dirty just as much as anyone. He's come from the streets. So, you know, it's almost like, how'd you beat him? Because he can do rough and tough. He can do boxing. He can do counter punching. He can step up now on the front foot and knock you out. He can do it all. He's a top 10 heavyweight of all time. I think he's a top 5 heavyweight. I think he beats Holyfield. I think Holyfield, just brilliant a man as he was, just doesn't have the attributes, size, to beat Fury. And, you know, he's right up there. I'm not saying at this point, probably his catalogue, I'm not saying he's there with Lewis or Ali. Joe Lewis, that is. And probably not Lennox Lewis, and probably not, you know, Larry Holmes, but everyone else, I think he beats Mike Tyson. I really do. And I'm the biggest peak Mike Tyson fan there is. But the size, the skill, and the mentality from Fury. He walked into that stadium. Some people shiver. He owned it. So brilliant ring entrance to Kings of Leon, Sex and Fire, and Notorious B.I.G. He soaked it in. And Jim Napier said that Josh was born for that stage. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. But I tell you what, Fury is. My goodness, he loved it, and he rises to the occasion. The bigger the occasion, the better you're going to get from Fury, and that's exactly what happened last night. He's hard to beat for any heavyweight in any era. He's the best heavyweight this era. You know, he's 6'9", so he's even bigger than the likes of Klitschko and Lennox Lewis. Moves like a middleweight, fantastic footwork, doesn't panic when he's on the ropes. You know, great hand speed, good power now, good tactically, mentally tough. He's got a good chin. You know, he's got resilience, he's got balls, he's got will to win, he's got heart. You know, he's a nightmare for anyone. I'm not saying he doesn't get floored or dispatched. I mean, he could easily, Tyson could catch him for sure, but my money would be on a focused peak Fury. He can just do it all, switch hitting, And this is the problem. Whyte didn't have enough variety. Take that left hook away from him. I mean, his jab was almost non-existent. But again, the reach, the size, the Fury just too big. Kept him on the inside. Kept that range. He literally poured Whyte at times, didn't he, with his left hand. Just poured him, get that distance, and then get his own shots off. Whyte was just too small and not active enough. Too heavy. He was gassed after round 3. He was ponderous. He needed to come in under 18, sorry. 17-9, 17-10. He would have still had bulk. He's a big, thick set guy. But he had speed, like he did with Rivas and Parker. You know, that's what he needed here. He needed speed, and fitness to go, because Fury just keeps coming, and his gas engine's phenomenal. And that's what Whyte needed, because he's proven he can go 12 rounds, but he's just too heavy. He was gassed out. And it was a masterclass from Fury, and he says he's going to retire now. I hope he doesn't, but you can't blame him. He's got millions in the bank. Is his motivation there anymore? I hope so, for a unification. He's talking about Ngannou, who got Ngannou in the ring, the UFC champion, but that'll just be an exhibition, one-sided beatdown from Fury. And he'll take his foot off the gas to make it entertaining. But I want to see him fight Usyk or Joshua, the winner. I want him to win that, and then there's no question about it. He's in the top 10 all-time greats, ending up as undisputed champion again. As for Dillian Whyte, yeah, I think he needs a new trainer. I really do. I think he's surrounded by yes men. He's nearly 35. He's 34 now. Time's not on his side. He's got to make moves. I'd love him to rebuild. I think he can do that. He's still just about young enough. Rebuild, 18 months, have a couple of fights, work on stuff, work on defending the uppercut. Work on getting on the inside, work on your speed, work in setting up that left hook more. He seems to have forgot the basics, which he excelled on the Tibbs. But listen, with Andy Lee and Sugar Hill, Tyson Fury's getting better and better and better. And he had an army, he had his brothers, his dad. He was never going to lose that fight last night. I didn't expect it to be so emphatic, but what a peach of a shot. He's got it all. So what I'd like to see, rebuild, have some tune-up fights, and then come again, one more title shot, especially if Fury vacates. There'll be some titles up for grabs. He might have a WBA shot, a regular, against Jennings or something like that. That would be great to see, but he needs a year to rebuild, recover as well. That's a bad knockout. I'd like to see him come again. I don't want to see Dillian Whyte retire. Same with Fury. He's got to be undisputed. We've got to keep knocking on that door. That's the fight we all want to see. And then let ride off to the sunset. But for his own legacy and all-time great status, I'd love him to fight one more time for that undisputed. But phenomenal performance from John, Team Fury, especially Tyson. Did everything and more as expected. Boxed, then closed the show. Kronk style works beautifully for Fury, and I'll tell you what, he's going to take some stopping. He's the fighter of his generation, best heavyweight of his era, and I can't see anyone beating Tyson Fury except Tyson Fury if he doesn't train anymore. But what a fight. Head up, Dillian Whyte, you'll come again, hopefully down the WBA route. Alright guys, I'm out. What a night, what a fight. Hopefully I'll get my voice back soon. Catch you soon, bye.